The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and good afternoon to those of you joining us from the East Coast. My name is Matt Nash, and today I'll be presenting a Nero Global Tracking webinar. We had a new system release last Friday which enhanced our dispatch and navigation functionality. Specifically, we added the ability for drivers to have canned messages and responses. And I'll explain a little bit about what that means very shortly. If you're familiar with our Garmin dispatch and navigation interface, it's quite simply a standard off-the-shelf Garmin device which is connected via a cable to the beacon, GPS tracking beacon in a vehicle. A dispatcher using the web interface is then able to send jobs, which is a location and a sort message, and other generic or general two-way text messages to a driver in a vehicle. So it's quite simply a standard off-the-shelf Garmin device which is turned into a MDT or mobile data terminal-like device. In the past, when a message was sent to a driver, they could select from a limited set of yes, no, or okay responses, or they could freeform type in a message back to the dispatcher. That has its challenges. Typing a message on a keyboard is error-prone, it's time-consuming, which results in lost productivity. Also, drivers can become distracted. If they happen to be typing it, they shouldn't be typing it when they're driving, but if they're still on the side of the road, that's still a safety concern. The solution is what we've added to the system are canned responses and canned messages. And a canned response is quite simply a predefined list of responses that a driver can select from when a dispatcher sends a message to a driver. And a canned message is kind of the flip of that. If a driver wants to send a message to the dispatcher, he or she can select from a predefined list just with a few button clicks and send that message off to the dispatcher. I'm going to go ahead and log into the system here. Now, just a little bit of logistics too. Just as I'm going through the webinar, if there are any questions, feel free to type in the question over on the right-hand side on your GoToWebinar module. It's about 2/3 of the way down the screen. Just type in your question there, and I'll be able to see them and address them at the end of the presentation. The new functionality for canned messages and responses is accessed through your normal web portal on the Dispatch tab. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. Quite simply, if before, or just as before, if you want to send a message or a canned message to a driver, just click on the Send Message tab over here on the left-hand side. This portal I've got is set up with departments. So I've actually segmented the vehicles into different departments. We do this sometimes when it's a larger fleet deployment. If you have any questions on that, feel free to contact us and we can walk through that. But if you haven't had departments set up, you wouldn't see the first drop-down list. But I'm going to go ahead and select my sales demonstration department. I'm going to go ahead and I want to send a message to the vehicle called Matt. And I can send this message to just one recipient, just Matt, or I can go ahead and click on Add Recipients and select any number of more vehicles to send this message to. For today, though, I'm just going to click on Cancel. I'm just going to send it to the one vehicle. So I'll go back. I'll be picking on Matt today. And a sample message you could be sending to them, typical message would be, what is your status? And historically, the response from the driver would be none. you could request an okay response from the driver, or simply just a yes, no, meaning are you on or off duty? That could be a typical question where you may want a yes or no. But now you can also select custom. This now presents you with a list of 10 custom responses that the driver can select from. So I'll just go ahead and type them in right now. On duty, off duty, and traveling to job. Quite simply, I just go ahead and hit send. And now this message is sent out to the Garmin device in the vehicle. And if you've overheard that audible signal, that alerts the driver that there is a new message for them to read. If they are navigating, as you can see over here on the right-hand side of your screen, if they are navigating right now, it won't take them immediately off this screen. They'll continue to navigate, but it does indicate down here, right down here, that there's a new message. So both an audible signal, which you can turn off, and a little message icon. So say if I'm the driver and I'm in a safe situation that I can go ahead and read the message, I'm simply just going to go click on that. And here is my message list. So here are some messages that were sent to the driver earlier today, and here's the one that I just sent. What is your status? I'm just going to go ahead and click right on that. Here's a little more detail of the message. If it was cut off on the first screen, what is your status? Click on reply. Click on reply. And now I'm presented with what I typed on the screen before, on duty, off duty, or traveling to job. So I can go ahead and check on it over here on the actual dispatch tab. Yep, that is the message that I sent. What is your status? And then the required responses, on duty, off duty, or traveling to job. So I am going to select as a driver. I'm going to say that I was on duty. I've gone ahead and sent that back, and now I can go back to navigating or doing whatever I was doing before. That message will flow into the system automatically. The screen is refreshed periodically, or you can go ahead and manually refresh it at any time by clicking the refresh button up in the top right-hand side. So here's the response from the driver. Let me click on that. The original message is marked with a re, what is your status? And then their response is appended to the front here. It says on duty. So simply just a quick and easy way to send messages back and forth with your drivers. Another scenario uses canned messages. And this is when a driver wants to send a message back to the dispatcher. So before I'd shown when a dispatcher sends it to a driver. Now we're doing the reverse of that. So again, I'm presented with a very similar interface. I'm going to go ahead and select Matt. And here are the current canned messages that are loaded onto the device. These are actually very similar to the ones that I just used. What is your status, on duty, off duty, you're driving the customer. We could go ahead and use some other ones too. Maybe perhaps the question will be, when will you be done the job, or informing the dispatcher when the job will be completed. So if I go ahead and hit send, I'm going to add a little more detail to that. Go ahead and add just so it's very clear to the dispatcher. I'm going to go ahead and click send. And now these messages are now being loaded onto the Garmin itself. So if I go ahead and if I, as a driver, needed to access that, I'd simply go to my dispatch screen, go to messages, and then just select quick message. And now here's the list. It's already loaded onto the Garmin. Job will be done at 9 a.m., will be done at 10, at 11, or job will be done in the afternoon. So if I ever want to just update throughout the day the dispatcher with my status, I could just go ahead and click on any one of these. We'll go ahead and say it'll be done 11 a.m. Job will be done at 11 a.m. Yes. I could also, I'll point out, you could go ahead and edit this at any time as well. So if I wanted to click Edit, I could then go ahead and say, you know what, it's actually not going to be done at 11, it's going to be done at 11:30. You could go ahead and back that up and type in whatever you'd like here. But for today, I'm just going to select my predefined one. Job will be done at 11. Hit Send, and off we go. Now, as you can see over here on the left-hand side of your screen, this message now shows up in our queue. Job will be done at 11 a.m. Message from Matt received. Great. So that, at a high level, is canned messages and responses. If there are any questions, I'll scroll through the list and look at them now. There is one question. This is a great question. It says, let me pull up the screen actually, and then I'll describe it. When will you be done? It said, the question is, can you reuse your list of custom canned responses? The attendee noticed that when you send out a message, you're selecting and you have to type out the message each time. When will you be done? So you'd say 9 a.m., 10 a.m., or 11 a.m. or in the afternoon. So you could type it out every time, but if you find that you're sending the same message again and again, what you could do, there are two different ways to do it. I could simply click None. I don't want a required response to this. That may seem counterintuitive, but I'll show you what will happen on the Garmin screen. So I'm going to say, when will you be done? I'm going to send out that message to the Garmin device. And you can hear, now that I'm at another screen, the message waiting icon is in the top right-hand corner. I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. When will you be done? You're still presented with the reply button. Click on Reply. And now I can just use Quick Message. And these are the messages that were loaded, the canned messages that were loaded onto the device that we just did. And so without having to retype as a dispatcher, without having to retype the required responses, you can just simply go ahead and the driver can select with what's already predefined on the Garmin itself. And predefined meaning that it has been loaded over the air by the dispatcher. So I'm going to go ahead and say now the job will be done in the afternoon. Just go ahead and click on Yes. And off we go. Click on Refresh. And there we go. Another way, if you typed in a set of canned responses before and wanted to reuse that, you could simply go ahead and just click on any message where you have sent those canned responses before, and then just click on Forward. And that's going to go ahead and encapsulate all the job information that you'd sent before. Thank you very much. There are no more questions. This webinar is recorded and is available for review and download later. Thank you very much for your time and attending another Nero Global Tracking webinar. Thank you again.